bleep it out. I'll have Andrew bleep it for you.
Okay. I don't know what to say.
No, I think I just struggle because I had a lot of conflict growing up with my parents, and I never had a very good relationship with my dad. He just was never really there, I feel like, the way he needed to be. And I think that kind of radiates in how I feel about relationships now.
Are your parents divorced?
Yeah, they divorced when I was going into high school, so quite a while ago now. It's been like, oh my gosh, 8 or 9 years.
Oh, wow.
And it was for the better because there was so much conflict. But I think I have a lot of lasting things with that kind of come into my relationships with like other people. And I see it now because I'm kind of in the first longer term relationship that I've ever been in. And I feel like, yeah, I'm always insecure.
It must have been really hard, like, being, like, that age, like, going through a divorce. Like, I always hear about, like, kids, like, so young in kindergarten, they don't remember their parents getting divorced, but in high school, like, you're just there, you're aware.
I think it was weird, too, because I think a lot of people, when you talk about your parents getting divorced, expect you to be, like, sad about your parents divorcing or, like, sad about not having your parents together, but it was, like, the opposite for me, and I was really happy that was happening, and I was like excited to have that separation and like be away from all that conflict and for what it was going to mean, and it was honestly for the better. But it's hard because I remember a lot of the conflict. Like, I was old enough to remember what that was all like still.
How did they tell you? Did they sit you down, or like were you just...
I think we just kind of knew. I'm really close with my mom, so... And that, like, we got even closer once my parents divorced. But me and my brother kind of knew that it just wasn't healthy, and my mom just didn't want to do it anymore.
That's fair. Don't laugh. Do you still see your dad or no?
I did because I was, going into high school. I don't even know how old we were when we went in high school. 14?
Like 13,
14? So I was like 13 or 14. So you still have to have like custody
like
stuff in place.
And stuff?
So I was like every other weekend, and I think there might have been like one day during the week that I had to go, and I hated it. I hated that I didn't have a choice.
Yeah.
And so I had to do that until I was 18. So pretty much till I graduated high school. And then at that point he had met this woman, Tanya, who became his girlfriend, and she had a daughter, and me and the daughter clicked, so it made going over way easier, so I didn't mind. So then once I got into college, we still saw each other, and then it was just like very conflict ridden still. So now I don't. Yeah. So it was like he kind of almost created the same dynamic he had with my mom with the new like lady. Oh my god, it was a whole experience. So I tried to put up with it for a while, and then I ended up just not wanting to deal with it anymore. So by the end of college, I didn't really see him. He didn't come to my graduation.
Did you ask him?
No. He found out about it though, because I mean, obviously he was like, my daughter's graduating college this year, and he was like, do you have extra tickets? And with COVID, I got 2 tickets. It's only 2 in my family, so my brother couldn't even come. But I invited my mom and my grandpa, and my dad called, and he was like, you invited, like, just went off on me about graduation. It was a whole thing.
About not being invited or not being... Yeah.
Yeah, he was mad. And I was like, there's a link, you can watch it. He got really offended by that.
Well, that's hard. Like, there's only 2 tickets. How are you gonna invite someone who didn't have a part in your life, like, growing up in, like, the most important times?
At that point, he didn't even know that I was staying in Delaware. He didn't know I'd gotten into grad school. He didn't know what any of my future plans were. He didn't know that I was in a relationship and that we were moving in together over the summer. Like, didn't know anything. So, yeah. And I talked a lot about it because I was in like I don't know how serious like of a relationship you can call it when it's high school, but I had like a 6-month relationship in high school. But it was pretty like, I don't know. It's a lot different than what I'm in now, and so many things have come up where I'm just like, why am I so insecure? And then I'm like, my family.
Yeah.
Probably.
Going back to do you reach out? Does he ever reach out to you, or are you just avoiding reaching out to him?
No, he doesn't reach out to me. I think the expectation is like I should reach out to him. I don't know why, because I feel like a parental role, like he should be reaching out to me, so it's kind of weird. So I don't bridge that gap, and like if he doesn't want to either, he's been like, he goes through my brother a lot, and he'll be like, do you and your sister want to come do this? And I'm like, I'm not just going to show up when you're inviting me for my brother.
Does he have a good relationship with your brother?
No, worse.
Worse, but he still like reaches out to your brother?
My brother was 18 when my parents divorced, so they totally...
He didn't have to go back and forth.
He cut off that relationship when they got divorced. So we're kind of on opposite like paths, because I was kind of forced to try to have a relationship with him, and after so many years of trying that, I just gave up.
Yeah.
And then now I think because my brother separated himself, didn't really try, didn't like go back to that. Now he's kind of going through what I went through earlier, and like kind of trying.
Is your dad still with Tanya?
Yeah, surprisingly.
Do you still get along with her daughter?
We don't talk anymore, because she ended up saying that when I went to college and then I kind of like distanced myself from my dad, in turn it like distanced us. So then she kind of felt like I left everyone, so gap for that too.
Yeah. Have you tried to reach out to her?
Sometimes, yeah. I think more so in my first couple of years of college. We were pretty close still when I was a freshman in my undergrad, and then it just kind of got more distanced, and then I would kind of reach out when I was home a bit, be like, do you want to get lunch? Do you want to? And then that didn't really work out. Sometimes I'd still go see my dad on like a holiday or something like that. And then that all kind of faded, and then I stopped coming home a lot because once it was junior year, we had the whole pandemic. And
that was hard.
Once it went online, most of my roommates down at Delaware ended up deciding to stay. We went home for a couple weeks when everything first hit and they like closed down school, and then we all decided to go back, especially because it was my 21st birthday, like 3 weeks after school shut down.
Oh my god.
And like everything happened, so I was like, I'm going back. I was like, things are gonna open up by my 21st birthday, it's gonna be great. That was the opposite of what happened.
Not happened at all.
But yeah, we went back, we hung out, we stayed. I stayed most of that summer, so then I just wasn't really up here, and that kind of contributed, I think, to distance and everything too.
While you're in Delaware, were you still like close to your mom?
Yeah, she would come down, she would visit a lot. It was hard for her when I started coming home less. That was like a hard transition.
Because it's only you and your brother, right?
Yeah, me and my brother. She's had a tough go of things too, you know, after everything. So
Did she try dating after us?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Craziness. She actually she came out.
Really?
She did.
That's awesome.
She came. That was probably maybe like a year after my parents divorced. She ended up coming out, but that's been hard. Still hard to find someone.
Yeah.
In the whole process.
But like that's awesome.
So she found herself, which was really inspiring. I think, like, I feel so settled in like who I am because once my parents got divorced, she just like fully stepped into who she was, and we all kind of felt like a lot more freedom. So I think that's why I think I don't have a lot of qualities that my dad had, but at the same time, it's like a lot of just having that connection with like your father figure.
Yeah.
Like not having that, I think, is gonna affect relationships one way or the other.
Definitely, but I think like your mom had to step up for both of you, for both of them. And I think so. You had those father connections, but with your mother.
And my grandpa.
Yes. See?
Surprisingly, he's like the best human ever. I'm really, really close with him. He's kind of like the father figure that I consider like having in my life. But it's still just weird because at the end of the day, it's like he's just never been like a steady figure, and I feel like it's hard in a relationship now to kind of be like that person is going to be a steady figure in my life, and I'm always just like, if I do something wrong or if like, you know, I'm not a perfect person, which no one's a perfect person, but I put way too much pressure on myself all the time because I think we talked about that in class, just like even just in school, like how much freaking pressure we put on ourselves.
Do you discuss this with your boyfriend currently?
Yeah, I think at times where we've had, like, a lot of times, like, a lot of times it'll be issues with, like, I think it was once we moved in together, that we spent so much time together that once we, like, wouldn't spend time together, or, like, he kind of wanted to go do his own thing, I got, like, weird about it it was so frustrating, because I was like, I don't want to be that person that, like, doesn't let someone have their own life, but it was, like, challenging, and it just created so much conflict for us. And then when we'd have conversations about it, I would try and be like, I really think it's stemming from, like, everything that I went through, and I think he does understand, but at the same time it's hard to, like, put that all into, like, perspective when it's like I lived how many years of my life, like, going through that, and we've had, like, a few months together to try and, like capture that all.
So he's aware of, like, the whole situation you've had with your dad?
Yeah, I think probably not as much as he should be. I feel like I'm very open about it, but as soon as it's someone that I'm, like, really close with, and that I like, in terms of, like, a romantic relationship, it's so hard for me to, like, open up about any of that.
Yeah, I mean, it's easy to talk to us about it, because, like,
I know, it's like, I don't know, when you're on, like, a friendship basis, I feel like, I also think part of that is, like, when you're friends with people, usually, like, there's not a lack of judgment, because I feel like, you know, you're gonna critique each other and, like, hold each other accountable, but it's like, if I mess up, or, like, I tell you something that I went through, usually it's like,
I'm not gonna hold it against you.
Yeah.
In situations, yeah.
And you're not just gonna be like, oh, well, I'm gonna leave because I don't like that you just did that. It's like, you work through a lot more things, and I feel like in a relationship, it shouldn't really be that different, but it is, because, like, there's just more of that option for that person to be like, yeah, I don't want to do this.
Yeah, leave and be gone. In a friendship, you could...
It doesn't happen in the same way, I think. Like, you can have a lot of the same conflicts, but you work through it more, which I kind of wonder why.
Or do you think we just think that way? And it's not that way.
It could be. I think maybe it's just, like, yeah, I think if we do think that way, maybe that's why we're less open with, like, people we're in an actual relationship with.
People you would be willing to, like, sit him down and be like...
Oh, it's so scary.
I know.
It's so scary. I don't know. I always think, like, I'm the kind of person, too, that, like, when I'm sitting with myself, I'll, like, have a whole conversation in my head, and I'll, like, get all amped up, and I'm like, yes, I'm gonna say all these things, and this is what's bothering me, and, like, this is what's going on in my head, and then I'll, like, get home to, like, sit down with him, and I'll be like, so how's your day? And then I'll be like, wanna watch something? Or, you know, like, I'll just absolutely chicken out of any of it.
You can even, like, use this as an excuse to be like, oh my god, you know what we talked about today? I'm gonna do a mock interview thing, and this is what I said, and then just do it that way, so you don't have to be like, we need to sit down and have a talk about my past trauma.
I know, it's hard to bring up. And I think it's been hard, too, with the fact that, like, he uprooted so much, that it's, like, a whole nother level of insecurity of, like, oh my god, are you gonna, like, hate being here and, like, just wanna, like, not do this? So it's always, like, I don't know.
Well, I think the fact that he picked everything up and moved here is just, like, huge, and I think that scares you a little bit, maybe.
Maybe it does, and I feel like...
No guy figure has done that.
No. Yeah, no guy figure in my life has just chosen... Me.
Yes.
Ooh, that's the tea right there.
I think that could build your confidence a little bit.
Yeah.
He literally picked up his whole life, moved to Connecticut for you.
Yeah. It's pretty...
Are his parents together?
Yeah, and that's been so kind of cool to experience, because... And I don't know if his parents know, like, anything about my parents' dynamics, because obviously they're from a whole different state, so... And it's just my mom. But, like, they haven't met yet, which I wonder if it would be different if we were from the same state. Like, I don't know how quickly that happens in a relationship.
Yeah, I think it's definitely different with, like, situations. Like, you guys are so far away, but also, like, you could be in the same state and you just kind of avoid that situation. Like, I don't want my parents to meet.
I know. Like, so I've thought about that, and I think that would be the whole interesting thing. So I don't know how much they know about, like, my whole dynamic, but I remember meeting them, and I had, like, a dinner with, he has 2 other brothers, and I had a dinner with, like, all of them. and I was just sitting down and I was like, this is like a whole family unit, and I was like, this is so cool to be a part of. So it's kind of cool to have like a little piece of that now is like in my life, and like to see his parents.
That family unit.
Because I never had that modeled, like something working out and like being just like non-conflict filled. So I think I don't like conflict. Like every time there's conflict in it, like in any, even just like friendships.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, this is the end all.
It's burning.
I'm like, this is bad.
No, yeah, but
Do we nail it?
yeah.
You're at 16.
Nailed it!
You're the best.
All right, Antonina.